Hello everyone, this is Tony from TJ is Online. I'm making this video about a very popular sports icon. Whether you're a fan of his, were a fan of his, you had a grandfather, a father was a fan or not, everyone knew who was born in the 1940s or 50s about Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle was an icon, was a hero to many. Whether it was deserved or not, that wasn't the question. He was part of one of the most famous franchises of all time. Number of World Series rings. Playing in the World Series. Switch hitter. One of the main five tool players of the 1950s and 60s despite injuries. Took over for Joe DiMaggio. Mickey Mantle was an icon. Now, growing up in the 1980s, as I did, I started collecting baseball cards when I was 9. But I remember buying my first packs in 1984, 84 Don Russ. I remember buying rack packs of 85 Tops, 86 Don Russ, I remember. Not Don Russ, Tops. I bought a lot of Tops packs. And I got into more and more junk wax, and I didn't concentrate more on the vintage. But regardless of who you were buying, what you were reading, Mickey Mantle was everywhere. I didn't have any attachments to Mickey Mantle. My father wasn't a Mickey Mantle fan. He was more of a, Phillies, Robin Roberts, Richie Ashburn, Harmon Killebrew, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente, the pitchers, Colfax, Marichal. Those were his favorite players growing up, especially Killebrew, Ashburn, and Roberts. He saw Mickey Mantle play a number of times, took the train to the Bronx to see the Yankees play because they never really came to Shibe Park, Connie Mack Stadium to play, and my father was too young to attend the 1950 World Series. But he saw Mantle play in person. He would also go down to Maryland and watch Mantle play the Orioles at Memorial Park. So you got to see Mickey Mantle play a handful of times in person, TV, radio, everywhere. So getting back to me, growing up in the 1980s, even though I was not a Mickey Mantle collector, Mickey Mantle was everywhere. And I'll show a number of magazines and price guides and booklets in my collection from the 1980s and early 1990s, and you'll see how Mickey Mantle was everywhere, even for the targeted audience at that time, the readers of Beckett, baseball cards. People were my age, kids, in the 1980s. But we all still had a fascination about Mickey Mantle, like because of someone we loved was a Mickey Mantle fan. We had the magazines putting Mickey Mantle on the covers, articles about Mantle. We all wanted a Mantle card. We all wanted to have something in common with other collectors that were available to buy Mickey Mantle cards. We knew about the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. It was the second most popular card in the hobby then, right in back of the Honus Wagner. Now, the Honus Wagner card then was here. Maybe today it's still here. The 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card was here. Still the second most popular card in the hobby. But the gap between the Wagner and the 52 Topps Mantle has decreased over time, and now the Mantle got elevated more to the Honus Wagner status, despite having a print run around 2,500 cards. Not print run, graded 2,500 cards graded, give or take, across all the major graders. But still, Mickey Mantle was popular. So as a child, a kid growing up in the 1980s, I always dreamed of having a Mickey Mantle card. And a little bit of peer pressure. So being out of the hobby for 25 years, from late 1992, 1993, all the way up to 2018, when after Mike Schmidt finished that focus, when after my second favorite player, Steve Carlton, finished that focus, got a few Reggie Jacksons then. But Mantle was always still on my mind. It was that 12-year-old kid version of myself always wanted to have a Mickey Mantle card. Always dreamed about having a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle or a rookie or a 53 Bowman Mantle, 52 Bowman. Still wanted it. So in 1987 sometime, forget exactly where, my grandparents were nice enough to get with my father, pulled their money together, and they bought me my first vintage baseball card, which happened to be a 1967 Topps Mickey Mantle card. Now, this is not the same exact card, but it looks fairly, as I remember it, condition-wise, this is much better. Centering is similar to the one I had. So, obviously, when I got back into collecting, and I finished my Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton, and most of the Reggie Jackson player runs focuses, I wanted to get the Mantle. And the first Mantle I knew I was going to get was something that I remembered as a kid. Something that linked my current age at the time when I bought this to my childhood. And that was this card, the 1962 Topps, 1967 Topps Mickey Mantle. It means a lot to me. Some people, like John from the 70s show, the 70s card show, talks about this being the Uncle Mick card. And yeah, he does look a little bit of hungover. And Mantle's definitely past his prime. But it's a good photo. And most importantly, it's the tie I have from adulthood to when I was a kid. So the second part of this video is I'll go over my current Mantle collection. I consider it complete. I do not intend on adding any more cards unless something that unplanned happens, which allows me to buy 1 or 2 extra cards that would complete the run. But right now, I consider my Mantle focus done, complete, and it's been quite the ride. One kind of different tactic, I'll say, when I introduce each of the cards, I'm not going to go by year, descending, ascending. I am going to show the cards by the date I purchased them. So you'll see a little bit of the journey I went through when I got back into the hobby and what I bought after this. As we talked about, this was the first Mickey Mantle card I bought, the 1967 Topps. This card means a lot to me. The second Mantle card I purchased was the 1968 Topps. The third one was one of my favorites, the 1957 Topps. You can see here the outline of an airbrushed fella. I think it was a camera person. Next one, 1966 Topps. Then I went for my first 1950s. Here we have the 1956 Topps. A lot of people say this is their second or third, sometimes first favorite Mantle. This one here is out of my top 10. I like the action photo on the side. The portrait's nice, but his lips look a little too rosy for me. But overall, nice card, but not one of my favorites. Now, this is one of my favorites. The 1953 Topps Mantle, number 59. Another interesting tidbit about this card is Bowman left the bottom line here blank so kids could write in Mantle stats that he accumulated for the 1953 season. Next card, I went back to the 60s. 68 Topps game. Playing back, just playing, it's a game set, but I like the Mantle. It's a pretty cool one. Still in the 60s. Picked up a 1964 Topps. And here's the back. Continuing the 1960s. Here we have a 1963. This is one of my favorite Mantles because of the design. It's a pretty clean card. These 63s are tough because of the bottom corners. This one has a little bit of corner wear. A lot of corner wear. The one on the our right has a little bit less. Nice card. Another one of my favorite Mantle cards, the 1960. I love this one. This card reminds me of the movie 61. Thomas Jane, who played the Punisher in the movie, and a few other roles like HBO hung. I believe Billy Crystal used this card here to kind of see the resemblance that Thomas Jane had with Mantle. Love this card. And it's even not one of his more expensive ones. Here we have the only Mantle card that I purchased raw. Really need to get this graded. It's been waiting around for too long. Guess we need another SGC submission. Here's a card I picked up along with the 1960, I believe, at the, not the Philly show, but the Fishtown card show. 61 Topps. I like the design of the card, not too crazy about Mantle. The portrait. Here we have also one of my favorite cards, the 1969 Topps Mantle. This has the yellow writing, his last name. I picked up this at the Philly show off of Steen's Vintage Cards, I believe. Was able to negotiate a little bit. And this is a nice card. Considering it's a 69, it's a little OC tilted. A lot of these 69s are, though. Another one of my favorite Mantle cards, the 1955 Bowman. All these cards were taken in Shibe Park. Wish it wasn't in a PSA case with the wavy inner sleeve, but it's doing the job protecting it. One of my top 4 favorite Mantle cards of all time, the 54 Bowman. This is a great card. So underrated. Unlike the 53 card, they didn't leave an additional area for kids to write in the stats of their players. And as we all know, in 1954 and 55, Bowman had an exclusive contract with Mantle, so there were no Topps cards produced then. I picked up this card at auction, and this is when I knew I'm probably going to go for the Mantle run or get as close as I can to it. This is a card I dreamed owning as a kid. This is when I knew that crap was getting real with my Mantle purchases. I love this card. It's great. Definitely looks like the 1951 Bowman from the back. If you ever get a chance, check out the Type 1 photo that was used, that this card used. It's It's a nice photo. Mantle's actually in the dugout in the actual photo, if you get a chance to see it. Picked up this 61 card. I liked how it captures the 560-foot shot. This home run is what became known as a tape-measured shot. Before then, home runs weren't considered tape-measured shots, just home runs. People have hit further home runs, but this is the one that a lot of people remember. Here we have another popular Mickey Mantle card. This is the 53 Topps. I prefer the 53 Bowman over the Topps, but this is really nice because it's based on the same Type 1 photo as his 51 Bowman rookie, and which the 52 Burke Ross also used. Here we have a card picture I picked up off of Instagram. And this was my first Mantle signature ever purchased, ever owned. This was a Sports Impressions card, which I love the mugs. And very oversized. Has all the stats on the back. I believe this card came out in the late 80s. I have to check. The PSA slab flip doesn't give any details about that. Picked up this card raw. Had it graded, authenticated, and it came at 3.5 with an autograph 10. This card is the one that's pictured in the East Coast National poster that I showed earlier. That's where this card was signed. In August 18th or 19th, 1989 at the East Coast National. I bought it from the original owner. He's an older fella now. He just didn't believe in grading cards. But luckily he had this signed and it passed authentication. But I kind of knew, based on the provenance that he had, it was going to. Here we have the 62 with the wooden border. Not a big fan of the photo that Topps used, but I do like the borders. Here we have one of my first oddball Mantle purchases, 1954 Red Heart. Really like this card. Like the blue background, nice centering. These cards aren't hard to obtain. They got a little expensive over the years. Rumor has it that Morel Meats was continued and to send these cards out through the 60s and early 1970s. They just had so much. They didn't come with the dog food. They were actually mail-in, so that's why a lot of these cards are in nice condition, because you can get them over a 20-year span from the rumors, and they were mailed to you, so they weren't inside any containers with food, such as the meat cards or the hot dog cards. Here we have the 58 Topps. I do like this one. Nice orangish background. Here we have another 1969 Topps. Picked this one up. I like the overall centering of it. A little bit of paper loss on his cheek. And it has the white lettering last name. And another reason why I love these 1969 cards is they were issued after Topps new Mantle was retired, because it says it on the back, but it has his complete stats. Not too many players have a card issued after their retirement, forced or not, especially in the vintage era, that contain their career stats. Clemente is the other player that comes to mind. Here we have the 1965 Topps Mickey Mantle. Another one of my favorites. Here we have the 1964 stand-up. I wasn't planning on picking up this card, but then I heard about the Philadelphia area collection, which is now known as the Grail collection, and I wrote an email to Chris Soule. I knew he had this, and I ended up buying this card from him and Mike. So wanted to own a card from that collection, and picked out this one. And the last Mantle card I purchased was the 1951 Bowman. Didn't think I would ever pick one up. I found this. It was at a fair price. Obviously, this card has been played with, has been handled. I like the centering of it. It's cared for despite the 4 rounded corners. 2 of the corners are rounded more than the others. This is, in my opinion, how a card from the 1950s should look. Also like how Mantle has the number 6 jersey on, so you know the Type 1 was taken during his rookie year. That this used as the basis for the photo. Here's the back. And we talked about the 53 card, which also uses the same Type 1 photo. And the 53 card is just a blown up area of this card. So, and this is my Mickey Mantle collection. Thank you all for watching this video. I know it's on the longer side, and I appreciate you going through the journey with me, how I obtained my Mantle collection. We'll see what the future holds, and if I should ever come across a 1952 Topps, you all will be the first to know. Thank you.